Recording in progress.
Welcome to the ashram where your soul feels free. A space for transformation, love, and unity. Safe, seen, and heard, you're right where you belong. A sisterhood of power, fierce and strong. Welcome to the ashram where your soul feels free. A space for transformation, love, and unity. Safe, seen, and heard, you're right where you belong. A sisterhood of power, fierce and strong. Welcome to the DGUA. Feel the magic flow. Here we rise, we thrive, we let our spirits grow. Greeted with a divine day, lifted up above. We leave you with light and love. So welcome, welcome. You're finally home. At Divine Gypsy Urban Ashram, you're never alone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So welcome, welcome. You're finally home. At Divine Gypsy Urban Ashram, you're never alone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You're never alone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome. Welcome to the ashram where your soul feels free. A Divine Gypsy Urban Ashram, you're never alone.
Yay, that song is so dope.
Yes, I love it. And it helps me to like allow people to start like coming in too. Because a
Mhm.
lot of times I start and I'm still letting people in and so and it's sort of just to let you get settled and arrive and get a moment to sort
It
of,
is
how like
so dope. I
go to
needed
church,
that.
get your heart and mind aligned for the word. Um, but
Mhm.
welcome. Thank y'all for being here. I had a couple people reach out to and said that they might be a little late, but they really wanted to make sure I recorded because this is sort of us closing out the three-part series of When Your Will Won't, the difference between knowing better, doing better, and being better. And we get to talk about the being better part today, which I'm so excited about. And I hope just what we've learned in this coaching circle of sort of shifting, not always just putting pressure on ourselves with our willpower and just thinking, oh, my willpower is so weak and I'm so weak, and understanding willpower's role in us sort of getting aligned and doing what we sort of feel compelled to do. So, and then we talked about the the knowing better and shifting our knower and questioning our knower and reimagining what we know, right? So that we can really align with the doing part. And then we talked about the doing part as far as habits and different ways that we can shift to align our actions with what we believe. And so today we're talking about the becoming part, right? Where it is just part of who we are. It is embodied. It's just how we show up in the world. And it takes away a lot of it from having to be so much effort and, this back and forth. So, um, the first part I want to start with is talking about identity-based habits. So we're going to talk about a little bit of the difference with this approach of us being better is an identity shift, right? So being better is an identity shift. And lasting change comes from our identity. So I'll talk a little bit difference between action-based and identity-based habits. So when your behavior becomes part of your identity, you're more likely to stick with something because you identify it as who you are. So I like a little bit of, not so much to get into the science of it, but one of the things I always say is we are the stories that we tell ourselves. So if you say I'm strong, I am this, I am that. And we did that exercise a while back. I remember even Reese's of saying I'm a strong woman, and she has such a great example of how she identifies with that. That is what shows up in our life. That is always consistent. We were able to look at patterns where that was true about ourselves. And we did the exercise where we looked at in times where it's not true. So we might as well tell ourselves the story we want. So with identity based, we're highlighting how identity creates consistency. So when people see themselves as someone or as a certain thing, they're more likely to continue. So I'm going to have you guys write down an example. This is the example. Action based would be I will eat healthy. That's temporary. Identity based would be I am a healthy person. That's lasting. Right? So when we can identify ourselves as already being there, we're more likely to do the habit that aligns with that. So to go back to Reese's example, she said, I'm a strong woman, and she had all this evidence. I always show up for myself. I show up for people. I'm able to get things done. That's going to continue to happen, so that when resistance comes, she's more likely to be that person because she already identifies as that. And when we talked about our knower, like getting rid of the parts that really don't serve us, well, I'm not a strong person if it's detrimental to my well-being, right? I'm a strong person and I can also take care of myself. So when we unpack that, now we're folding it into an identity shift. Identity-based habits create stronger neural associations because they engage both behavior repetition and self-perception. And if this is something you want to know more about, I try not to spend a lot of the session getting deep into the science and the psychology and the neurotransmitters and all that stuff. I'll leave that for Dr. Joe Dispenza and for people who like to go down the science wheel. But this stuff that in the courses and teach, it is science-based, it's psychology-based. It's not just my opinion. It is people who have done research and life work into saying, like, this is how we ebb and flow into the becoming part of the being part, where I'm all about doing less and being more. So I've studied intensely about states of being and how people get to that state with less effort. So the impact of language on identity is key. And y'all know I am all about language, words. I will rearrange my words all the time. Every year on my birthday, I look at words in my vocabulary and I dump language that doesn't serve me, that is low vibrational. Like, I spent a life building this vocabulary. It's not going to go away in one swoop. You learn to talk this way with time. And so, like, last year, I looked at some of the phrases I use, like, I got a lot on my plate. I dumped that. I don't even say it anymore. Overwhelmed. I don't say it, Coco, help me this one. I'm whelmed. I'm not over nothing. I'm not overwhelmed because I have full power over what I do in my life. I got rid of that word. There's other words I got rid of. I can't remember anymore because it's not my vocabulary, so they don't come up naturally. But I
You
remember
know
those from
what,
last.
Tay? Can I enter real quick?
Yes, absolutely.
Me and Eli, we just got rid of a word yesterday because he's nearing the end of his school semester and he's been
Hmm.
stressing out. And his dad keeps telling him to push through. And every time he says that, I cringe. So I was like, it's something about that push. And I was like, maybe pulling. Pulling is more easy. So
Hmm.
we changed it from be pulled. Like, I forget, we don't have a nice push through type quick phrase, but we definitely replacing push with pull so that, I don't know, it just feels a little more earnest.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's those little feelings because words carry vibrational frequency. They carry a weight. And I would say flow through because flow is more natural. And even when water goes over rocks and all that stuff,
Oh,
it still knows how to adjust. Like, I'll flow
thank you.
through
I
it. I'm not
needed that.
pushing.
Thank you. Thank
Flow
you.
through. Yeah, I'd help with any language. I love recreating my own Webster vocabulary dictionary. Shayon put in the chat. Oh, I like this. She put my word try no longer in my vocabulary. And when I say I stop mid-sentence and correct myself, absolutely. That is a perfect one. That's gonna actually be an example. And since y'all giving words, like, I would love anybody else have a word in their vocabulary that they one are ready to get rid of today that might be coming up, or another one where you like, dang, when I say this, I feel the weight of it, and I'm just ready to go ahead and disregard it. And if you can't, you can either put in the chat or you can come off mute and say it if you could think of just a word like you're ready to disregard. or phrase? Okay, I just wanted to get y'all a chance if anything came up because Coco had a good one and then Shayon had a good one too. So with the language, so the impact of language, and I will give like a little study here, is the way a 2011 study in the Journal of Consumer Research found that people using I don't statements, which is identity based, were more successful in maintaining commitments than those using I can't statements, which is an action based word. And that's just one study to say, when we see that, like our peers say, don't say you can't, say you won't. You know what I mean? Because it's a matter of capacity, not capability. And that's what we want to shift on if they were saying that. So I am statements reinforce positive identities. And I love, affirmations are really becoming a thing, right? Reese just had one. I'm struggling. That one. I'm broke. That one. Perfect. I felt that too. That's a good one. I'm struggling. I don't struggle at all. Never, ever. Okay. Because again, that when you put I'm behind anything, you are reinforcing something. So it's almost contradictory if you say one thing, but you say I am. So if you're saying I am wealthy, I am abundant, you're doing your affirmations, but then you go out in your day-to-day language, you like, sugar, I'm broke. I can't even do it. Yo, I am is like, wait, we broke or we abundant? So it's just staying still until you make up your mind, because it's bringing you both scenarios. It's bringing you scenarios for you to be broke, and it's bringing you scenarios to be abundant. So you getting both worlds right now. So you're gonna get both either way. Oh, I'm a loss of words. Dumping that. I don't even know. I ain't never heard that. I ain't never heard that saying. No, I have. That's one so far out of my vocabulary. I'm at a lost words. I ain't never lost. I was always fast. Oh, love that. So that language that I am is super impactful for that. So anybody got some favorite I am statements? Just really quick, because I just one that like I am one that is just like one of your favorite I am or affirmations that you really truly believe about yourself. Not necessarily the ones we want to reach towards, but one that we with 1,000% of us can say, "Oh, I am." Coco.
I am perfect. It really feels
That one.
storybook, but that's mine. Like anytime I
Mm-hmm.
see that word, I'm empowered and it's so bold. But when I understand the like perfect means I have everything I need, I'm complete, I'm whole, then it vibrates really nice. Like not perfect, like I don't make mistakes, but I don't know. Yeah,
That's it.
I'm
I'm telling
perfect.
you, that's the one. The I am. So one of the things, I am strong, I am beautiful, I am complete, I'm free. Yes, I am more than enough. Tavisha put in there. I love that one. That more than enough is one of my favorites. Um, so the I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Yes. I love that one. Those I am, so that identity based and identity statement creation is going to reinforce the behavior. So remember when we first wrote down that thing that I know better, but I just don't do better. Some example was, exercising, eating healthy. I know I should do these things, but I don't do them. When you do the I am statement, how can you rewrite that statement? So what mine was eating healthy. Instead of me saying I'm eating healthy, that's an action based. It's I am a healthy person. That's identity based. So take one of those examples. I'll give you a few minutes of, if you remember, you can create a different one today if it just resonates with you today. But that thing that again, I know better, but I just ain't doing it better. What is the one way you would say it that is action based and then rewrite it in identity based? So I'll give you a few minutes. And again, that example I had was I eat healthy, action based. I am healthy, identity based. So if you want to share yours, if you have yours or put it in the chat, you can. I love Reese put, I am whole and all that I need, I already possess. Absolutely. That is an I am statement. The action base might be, I need to save more money, right? I need to, and it's always action based, like, because that means if I don't do it, I'm not that person. I want to, I desire to, all those are really action based. You know, I am going to start saving more. I'm going to start walking every day, right? Instead of saying, I move my body or I am a whatever, you know what I mean? So, Tavisha, put everything I need is within me. I am more than a conqueror and I do all things through Christ who gives me strength. That affirmation right there, that's an I am right there. So again, the action based, when you say I am more than a conqueror, you're more likely to conquer everything that you come through. Danielle put act, my marriage good. I am happily married. Perfect. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's action based versus identity based. Perfect. My marriage is good. That's action. I am happily married. And so you're more likely, again, to do the actions that align with who you are versus what you do. Because what we do changes. How we identify with ourselves doesn't change. It's a lot of science behind that that says, I'm not going to do it. I'm sexy. Absolutely. So guess what? You about to do sexy things. You ain't going to be doing ugly girl things. You know? Or things that keep you aligned with feeling sexy anyway. So great. Y'all get the action base
I love
for
that we
that.
have the freedom to go there because you know that's where my head was.
I
I
know.
was typing in the action version for that. But
Hmm. Hmm. The action base. So I would encourage y'all to do this exercise. You know, like when you look at these things, you write down your goals. I always say that's fine to write down your goals and the things you want to do, but until you get in the habit, right next to it, who you are with that. So it's okay to say, I want to save money. I want to save $2,000 by 6 months. And then next to that, put say, I am abundant, I am wealthy, I am prosperous. Once you do that, you're more likely actually to stick with that than not doing it. A lot of, again, science that proves this is right. This is a game changer right here, cognitive. So the second part of this, again, identity based, that we are being better and our being betterness is one, we've identified the identity based, the stories we tell ourselves, right? And the I am confirmation, um, or the I am statements and how language affects that. So the second part is sustainable growth comes from gradual progress, not perfection. So this is progress over perfection. Normalizing imperfection as part of the journey it allows you more likely to sustain long-terming behavior and being. This is the case in point, or sort of the information. Again, it won't give you a lot of the science, but study has shown that if we already put in the formula that we will fail or not be consistent as already part of the plan, we're more likely to actually get to the finish line. Because what happens is we start, we stop. And when we stop, we look at it as the failure and we go back. But if we already concoct that messing up is part of me getting there, I keep going through it, I don't stop. Right? So we normalizing imperfection as part of the journey. So if you say, I'm going to lose 50 pounds by my birthday, when you write that plan, I'm gonna walk, I'm gonna eat better, I'm gonna gain 10 pounds, I'm gonna lose 4 more, I'm gonna binge out, I'm gonna fast, I'm gonna you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna run, I'm gonna jog, I'm gonna dump out on chocolate, I'm gonna gain 6 pounds on my weight, I'm gonna be really frustrated with that, I'm gonna walk again, I'm gonna right as a part is I'm stopping and I'm starting and I'm stopping and I'm starting. No, that part is part of me going. Again, won't give y'all the science behind this, but it's really strengthening what we call cognitive dissonance, which is inner conflict. You are tricking your brain into saying us messing up is part of us winning. Your brain don't know what to do. It's like, oh, wait, we already said we was going to gain 5 pounds. So we keep going. That means we 7 pounds away instead of saying 5 pounds staying back at the starting point. No, you're not. We're normalizing imperfection. We're normalizing the resistance. We're folding the resistance into the plan, as opposed to us winning and us losing being two separate things. Resistance is coming along with us. So the setback, if you want to call it that, it's, but I put something in here. Self-compassion. The self-compassion as a tool to consistency. So instead of beating yourself up when you gain that 5 pounds, you're not, because you already planned it. Right? It's almost like if you have money, you go on vacation and you say, well, I already know I'm gonna spend $200 on food, liquor, this. When you spending it, you don't feel like, oh, I should be paying that. Oh, I should. You built it in that you was gonna splurge on that. So that part, and so you don't have the guilt and you don't have the judgment, which again is the thing that separates the doing into the being part. Is the judgment, is the guilt, is the shame, is the defeat. That is what is the wall between doing better and being better, is that wall. So before we get to the exercise, I want to, how, any feedback on that, or can you see of how that connects to maybe how you have went from the doing part and into the being part? Grace, absolutely. Grace is definitely part of the self-compassion piece. You got to have that.
That's exactly what I wrote down, Shady. I put like the grace is like the gravy that's in the whole recipe of this whole shit. Like grace is all in the folds of the plan. That
Mm-hmm.
and don't it give it all the flavor too?
To give it all the flavor.
Oh,
That grace is an actual
incredible.
recipe or chemical that allows our body to release the hormones for self-compassion. Grace is the sauce. It's not just like, oh, it ain't blind forgiveness. It's not, it's the secret, like you said, sauce flavor that allows you to go from self-judgment to self-compassion. And self-compassion helps you to encourage recommitment to something. You cannot recommit to something if you're feeling guilty, shame, or defeat about it. You just can't do it. So grace is what we need as an element in that space. So you got to think, if you're already folding in the setback, the resistance as part of the plan, and then when you hit that, you're giving yourself grace when you gain that 5 pounds, you got on that weight scale, your brain is saying, we already planned this, so we're still on track. 2, now we exercise grace. Then that next day, you're more likely to recommit and say, okay, I'm gonna walk tomorrow, instead of saying, I already gained 5 pounds. You know what? I'm gonna start fresh on Christmas. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm just stuck. And I'm stuck in that where I know better, but I'm not doing better or being better. We got to have the grace. We got to have the self-compassion as a tool to build consistency. So the other part is what I like to call the never miss twice rule. So missing a day is okay, but missing twice creates a pattern, right? So when we're in that grace, we want to create some type of resilient plan where when we're in that part of the grace, we're extending ourselves grace. Grace doesn't mean we get complacent and we say, forget it, we don't care, we just gonna ride grace all the way through. Grace is something that carries us. In that moment, we gain that 5 pounds. Grace is holding us up to reignite us to keep going. It's like a rest stop, right? When you know you're going from here to somewhere else and you see a rest stop, you don't treat the rest stop like it's where you staying. You don't find an Airbnb next to it. You don't camp out in the toilets and just say, I'm gonna wait for people to come by here. And they like, I mean, is this where you had planned on coming or nah? Or was this like a rest area? We need that grace because what, we stretching our legs, we doing this a little bit, we using the bathroom kind of stuff, but we already have the mindset like I'm still going. So grace is your rest stop. It ain't something that's gonna take you to the finish line. It's just a rest stop. It's your resting place. That's it. But you gotta treat it accordingly. Grace, this is so good. I was definitely gonna ask how because we quick to stay in that grace zone. Yeah, it's a rest spot. Call your
I
grace
mean,
rest stop.
especially if your grace is set up like Bucky's, like I'm gonna be in here for a while.
If your grace is a Bucky's, you need to make your grace like the back alleys of Alabama or in Ohio that look dark and scary. Like I do not want to be here as long. Like they got glory holes. I mean, that might be your best. I mean, let's not use that because I was like, I'm gonna be here. But it need to be the most uncomfortable thing for rest. Like, you know, when you use that bathroom, like I gotta use it so bad, but like everything, I'm on my tiptoes, nails, I'm squatting, knees are shaking, and you ready to ping, get out of there. You know, it's like you grateful that you got the rest stop because you had to pee so bad, like, thank God. You know, so when you gain that 5 pounds, you like, it ain't no big deal. I'm here for a minute. I'm not going to be hard on myself, but you're more likely the next day to actually recommit, right? That next day, you're probably going, and what happens is people think that's a yo-yo. They say, oh, you yo-yo diet, or I'm up and I'm down. I'm up and I'm down. Actually, that's how it's supposed to be. But because you haven't done identity based and you were action based, it kept taking you back to square one. But when now that you're identity based and you're focused on the being state, you're just going to keep going. Oh, and oh, I love that. Shan put that's what your tribe is for. Absolutely. And she marked Reese. You need that person to remind you, hey, you at the rest stop. I don't, if accountability ain't a word that feels good to you, accountability makes me, I'm over it just because it's so overused. That's why I like a light coach, a light guide, someone to remind, an alarm clock. I don't care what you're going to call somebody. You my alarm. You're just waking me up to remind me that I'm at a rest stop. That's it. That's why I love this coaching. Look, Divine Gypsy Urban Ashram, coaching circle, getting on the app. It's a reminder of, oh, I'm just resting. And while I'm at this rest stop, I like to talk to this person that helps empower me. I like to do this because it reminds me of I'm still going, like I'm that person. I'm already that person, but this is just in alignment to who I am.
Oh, that
And we
brought me
said that
to
with the I am statements, you're going to follow through because you already identified that's who I am.
I said
Go
that brought
ahead,
me
Reese.
to something, Stephanie, something came to mind.
Yes,
That the grace was built into the journey, like that pitfall was built into the process because you was gonna need somebody at that pit stop to give you a little something unction along the journey.
that
You know,
part.
so some of that stuff is divinely put into your course so that it can help you navigate through that journey
You nailed it.
and
And
help
that's
you
a
help you
people,
with
place, or
those
thing
goals. It's like built into the process.
built into the process. Built into the process. And that could be people, place, or things. I know some people in my life right now is just a rest stop. They just, I'm getting respite care. And I'm grateful for it. And I'm like, thank you, but I'm still going. You know what I mean? I know this is not where my final destination is, but I needed this in my grace, in my rest, and it reignites and recommits me on the road. And things come up to say it as reminders because again, our greatest liability is our comfort zone because we're so afraid of what we can lose that we miss it who we're supposed to become, right? We're so afraid to lose what we have that we miss who we are to become. So it's that reminder. Like I said, it's that thing to remind us grace is an absolute necessity in building and that becoming. Because when you're becoming, you're not even thinking of it. You just are. It's not a lot of resistance. Again, nobody can talk you off out of it. Like, can't nobody tell me I'm not resilient. I got enough stories. I got, like we said, I have all these facts to say it's true. It's a part ingrained. So guess what? When I come up against resistance, I already kind of know I'm going to win because I'm already telling myself I'm resilient. So I don't take it heavy. It ain't oh my God, this is the thing that's going to break me. I kind of be like even that car wreck, I'm like, I know I got to heal and do all that, but none of my self of being was shattered. Like, oh, maybe this is a sign that, it was like, It reinforces what I already know about myself. So I knew I was going to heal. I knew I was going to, need surgery. I knew I was going to get through. I know I was going to walk, because I tell myself that I can get through anything, and I am a resilient person. I am, fill in the blank. So this is great, y'all. This is amazing. So, the part with the resilience plan, I want you all to write down one specific strategy to handling these setbacks, right? So again, with the never miss twice rule, just to say, if I do this or when I do this, this will be my way to combat it. For example, if I skip a workout, I'll do a 10-minute stretch the next day. If I overindulge in healthy food, I'll prioritize hydration and movement the next day. So I want you to just find one, because this is going to be what I follow up with y'all in about 2 weeks since this course is done. And I want to be able to have a very specific measure where you can say, I literally transformed from this to this. And I can see it, I can hold it, it's actualized, and I know. So if yours in the beginning was eating healthy, exercising, saving any one of your wellness wheels, whichever one you pick that one. And if you want to change it now, you can. Again, this is intuitive led, but pick that thing that in 2 weeks you can sit here and say, I skipped a workout and I do 10-minute stretches the next day. And over these 2 weeks on my calendar, I can show you, Stephanie, where I actually did that 10-minute stretch. Or if in 2 weeks, if I eat something unhealthy, the next day I'll at least eat one piece of fruit. Stephanie, I can tell you on this day I had an apple. On this day I had, I did it. So something that in 2 weeks you can literally show me what the plan was, or how the strategy actually worked. And I would say, again, start with small, reasonable stuff. You know yourself better. This ain't your first rodeo with this thing, right? So the thing that got you back on track, the thing that sort of was like, it's doable for me. It's very small, because we're not looking at it being big or small. We're building that cognitive agility, and we're sort of doing the brain trick right now. So I actually say the simpler, the better. You're more likely to be able to click that neurotransmitter than trying to do something really big. And if you want to share your example, please feel free. It might help someone else have a good idea of maybe what they should maybe do if you have a good example. I mean, if you have an example, it could help somebody else too.
Hi, Sister Circle. I'll share mine real quick.
Thank you.
Showing up fully today. I'm a nerd right here. I was like algebra fits in this somehow. When Reese said that unknown and how it's built in, I just start seeing the algebra like in it. I just start seeing a formula spread out. So mine says if I don't get X steps in this day, I will at least do 1/2 X steps the next day.
Oh, I love that. X
And
equals
so I
X
never
half
get,
step.
yeah, so I really never get down to zero.
I love that.
It'll always be half
Big.
of something, which in math, if you just keep going halves, like you can never really get to nothing or zero or negative. So even though it gets super duper 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 small, I'm still in the game.
And you tricking that brain. The brain don't
Keep
know no
hope alive,
different.
exactly. Like I'm still on exact. Yeah, we
I
planned
love that.
this.
That's a great
Oh, that's
example.
thank you.
Thank you for that. Welcome, Kina and Bronco. We're just doing an exercise of looking at a specific strategy to handle setbacks. So the example was, if I skip a workout, I'll do a 10-minute stretch the next day. If I overindulge in healthy food, I'll prioritize hydration and movement the next day. And in 2 weeks, I'm actually going to call and reach out and see how that tangible exercise happened. Again, with now us reframing and folding in the resistance and the setback as part of the plan. So when you set the goal, I'm going to lose 40 pounds by my birthday. You put, I'm going to lose 2 pounds this week. I'm going to gain 3 pounds next week. I'm going to lose 5 the next week, right? You already adding in the setback. I'm going to eat fruits and vegetables this day. I'm going to binge out on this day. I'm going to, not day by day, but you already know somewhere in your birthday is going to be that ebb and flow. So anybody else have an example? That was perfect. Mine was with meditation. So it was if I don't meditate 3 times a day, the next day I'll do a walking visual meditation, because it doesn't lock me in. I got to sit meditate. There's a lot of different ways to meditate. And I know at some point the next day I'm gonna walk somewhere, even if it's walking my dog, then I'll know, oh, I need to do my walking meditation for this. So very, very tangible. Why? Because my I am statement is I am a spiritual being. So I'm more likely to do things that spiritual beings do. I am spirit first. That's a big part of what I need many reminders and grace of that when I get into ego, and I have lots of reminders and rest stops, what we call grace stops instead of rest stops, our grace stops. And I'm like, I'll always get reminders when I'm in that grace stop to remind me I'm spirit first. What am I doing? I'm tripping. You can work your magic. You can get yourself out of any situation, girl. What you talking about? Thank you. And I'm on my way. I'm not stopping here. I'm not camping here. I love that. The other note I have put here, and if y'all want to put the example on the chat or still have the information if thing comes up, is with me working with so much on transformation and being a transformational coach, and what I've really learned about people and people have helped learn me about is transformation begins when your vision is more powerful than your resistance. And one of the things, the way my mentor taught me, is that pain pushes until vision pulls. Pain gonna keep pushing you, and you're gonna feel more of the pain. And the pain is gonna be the driving force, the resistance, until vision pulls, until you want that thing so bad that it's your driving force, not the pain. But either way, something's gonna get you there. But because we are powerful beings, we get to choose who is going to fuel us. Is it going to be our pain, or is it going to be our vision? And so when that vision is more powerful and you can hold that more and make it more powerful than the resistance, that shifts transformation. And that's what people do. You go to the doctor sometimes and they say, you pre-diabetic, or we're going to have to start you on this medication. Oh, first thing you're doing when most people are going home is, I'm eating healthy today. I'm in heat, right? But then we don't build the sustainability. We did, and then we think, dang, I'm back to square one. But now with this new being approach, with being identity-based and not action-based, is that you leave the doctor, you go ahead and grab a cheeseburger because you was craving that all week, because that was part of the plan. But now guess what? You're most likely the next week to eat healthy than to come out, eat healthy that day, and then eat crap the rest of the week. It's like reverse day. It's like wearing your pants backwards. So now when I get a bad news that make me want to wake me up, I'll be like, nope, I'm actually leaning into the other stuff because it doesn't fuel me anymore. Learning about someone doing something, I get a lot of health fear. So when I hear someone get diagnosed or cancer or this, the fear gears me into like, okay, what could I do? Like, I need to walk. I need to be healthier. I need to get screening. I need to, right? We hear bad news about somebody. Oh, they went broke. They job fired them. Okay, I need to get security. I need to make sure my job is secure, right? That fear is fueling us to change. But if we switch it, right? I am prosperous. I am always going to win. Then when we hear that bad news, it doesn't impact us as much. It's like I just heard somebody tell the other day, got a diagnosis. One of my colleagues got a diagnosis of cancer. Stephanie had her a burger. I was like, the old me would be like, I'm not eating for a week because I get feared. And I'm like, but then after that whole week, I looked at my habits. I was like, dang, I had some pretty healthy habits majority that week. Then not. So that part of transformation begins when your vision becomes stronger than your resistance, and then what fuels you, that pain pushing you, or is the vision pulling you? And I just say, I am vision motivated. I am more motivated internally by who I am than external motivations. Any thoughts on that, or just how that may have shifted some of your action-based versus your identity-based things? Okay. Well, that's fine. We have a few minutes, and I wanted to, with the few minutes we had of just talking about the becoming part and not the yo-yoing, is knowing that the resistance or the setback is sort of part of the plan, and looking more towards your I am part, identifying who you are more likely to allow you to do the habits that align with who you are, and being able to really look at who that person, I want to be, or I am this, I am that, and leading with that is really the heart of the transformation piece, from going from doing to really being, a state of being where it's a lot less resistance, because it's just naturally how you show up in the world. If there is one of those areas, like you said, you've been, kicking the can down the road with it, like you've been trying to move and shift, I'm offering a 6-week transformational course I'm really excited about, called the Spring Awakening. And it's a 6-week journey into rebirth and renewal. So this is really the best time. I know people do it during New Year's. It's not the best time for transformation, but now is the most optimal time for transformation, for that thing that you have started and stopped and started and stopped, and you really want to see it shift into a new level of your being. Like it really shows up in my being, where I'm not putting as much effort or thought into it. It's just a natural state of how I am. I want to spend that 6 weeks with you and us moving that specific thing down. And I guarantee in 6 weeks, that thing will be completely different than how it was before. So rather it's in any one of your wellness wheels, occupational, financial, relationships, money, all the, I ain't gonna go over the whole 8 wheels, but y'all know the 8 wheels of dementia. Any one of those 8 wheels, there's an area like I'm ready to really see the shift. We're gonna do it in 6 weeks, and it's gonna be a mixture of 45 coaching sessions with me. It's gonna be energy healing to remove these blocks. It's gonna be all of what I can offer, and we are gonna work together to move that thing in 6 weeks. This is the best time for transformation. Planetary wise, Neptune is in Aries, which I was waiting to release this when Neptune was in Aries. And after a new moon, which was yesterday, which is the optimal time for manifestation, these next 6 weeks to 8 weeks, starting next week, is the optimal time to transform and to go in transformation. So that one thing that you really want to break, this is the time to put it all into it, because it's going to be a lot less resistance, and it's going to be like, it took me 10 years to be an overnight success, right? People are going to say, what did you do different? How come this time it lasted? How come this time you actually saved the money, got the, did this, changed it, like actually did this? And you'll be able to tell them, this is everything I did in the 6 weeks, and it was the optimal time. So it's just a great time energetically for renewal, rebirth, refresh, a fresh perspective on your life. I'm so excited about everybody's life on here. I'm excited about my life. I've definitely had a renewal of life with just a lot of, grief and death and people lost. I've had some friends. I just heard 2 more stories of good colleagues and stuff that lost people. It's just been a lot. And that has just renewed me and made me more grateful to just do this thing called life, and be fresh and be here for it, and to do it and show up different. So I really appreciate every single one of you all. I just wanted to spend the last 10 minutes on just any feedback, right? If you have wisdom, if you have thoughts, if you have questions, I'm just going to open it up and allow us to talk through it. I'm going to actually turn off the recording. So I say this is the sweet spot. If you weren't here, you missed it. To the point I had 2 people on the last one I turned off. They was like, I feel like so much, because y'all left. Like, I knew the conversation was dynamic, and I was like, you're gonna have to get on here. I'm telling you that the after hour time is when we really get a lot of the good nuggets, and you are able to share that wisdom as well. So thank y'all for here, but we going into the after spot. We're going into the after ashram spot.